Yeah, hi everyone, I'm Scot Harden, lifelong adventure rider, multi-time Baja 1000 and 500 champion and Dakar veteran. And out here in the woods with my good buddies Simon and Greg riding new V-Stroms. Yeah, you know, I have to admit I had a lot of preconceived notions about this bike before I rode it. I'm pretty hardcore and pretty specific debating on what I want. I'd always assumed the V-Strom was more of a lightweight type bike, but boy, I've really been surprised the last few days. This bike has everything that I'm looking for in a bike. It's got great performance, it's got great torque, a little bit lower torque setting than, say, the KTM, which means you can kind of lug it around really nicely, but it works really well on the road. Good handling, really lightweight, at 511 pounds, you can flick it back and forth. You really notice that quite a bit, and I was just blown away with how well it worked off-road when I got off-road. The bike really, it's a really good all-around package. Really surprised me. It reminds me not to always go with what you read or what your first impressions are. You really need to experience it before you make any judgments about this bike. Yeah, so the purpose of this ride that we're on, the only thing that we've really done is we put a Yosh exhaust system on it, and it gives it a real nice, little bit more throaty exhaust note. But the cool part about it is it's also carb certified, so you don't have any problems with emissions there. It's a quad pipe. It takes a lot of weight off the bike as well, from what I understand. We put some Shinko tires on it as well, and I'm really impressed with these. I've ridden with just practically everyone made, and these are as good as any of the tires I've ever ridden with, and they seem to be wearing really well as well. So you know, we'll see what they look like at the end of the ride, but right now they're really performing well. So the big question is, who's this bike for? And I would say it's for just about anybody, the beginner rider or even the more advanced. And one of the real nice features about it is the fact that it does have a low seat height. Every time I get off and on it, I'm really thankful because I don't have to stretch my leg into really weird positions climbing on. It's got a comfortable seating position. It has a really good upright riding position as well. It's very neutral. You really feel well balanced over the bike. You know, control in technical settings is really about your ability to feel comfortable balancing the bike, especially at a stop. And with the low seat height on this bike, I think it's really going to make most riders improve their comfort level quite a bit. So one of the real bright spots about this bike is the motor. And the TL motor has been around since 1997, I think. It's 1,035 cc's. They've really refined this package. It was originally developed for racing purposes, and you can really tell in just the way it performs. It's really smooth, low vibration, extremely low vibration. And like I said, it has a real meaty power band from anywhere from about 3,000 up to about 7,000 RPMs. The thing, I don't know how to compare it, but it's extremely torquey, more BMW type power, but without the vibration. That's really one of the bright spots of the bike. 6-speed, you have 3 different settings for traction control. You can turn traction control off, and then they have a normal setting for on-road application, and then a secondary setting that's a low sensitivity setting. So if you get into wet conditions or where there's a slippery road. I played back and forth with all of them. You can really tell the difference. Naturally, for off-road, we have the traction control turned off. One of the things I do wish it had was the ABS system to where it could be turned off. That's probably the only negative I feel on the bike, because I really use the rear brake to steer the bike when I'm off-road. I understand there's some aftermarket modifications you can make to put that into play, but that's the only really negative I can say about the standard onboard features about it. The dash is a mixture of digital and analog. It has a lot of different good features about that, trip meters, a lot of stuff, maybe not as sophisticated as some of the other higher-end bikes. But this bike retails at a really attractive price point, and you get a lot of bike for the money.
Hey guys, I'm Greg Albertyn, 3-time world motocross champion and 99 US national champion. I got involved in adventure riding just simply because there's very little crossover. You know, when you're free riding on a motocross bike, you end up going down these little trails, single track, and that's kind of adventure riding. So I've done quite a bit of that down in Mexico, and then actually down in South Africa, where when I retired from racing, that was actually my very first business venture I got into, is taking people on adventure rides through wildlife areas, which was amazing. So I was involved in the very first launching of the V-Strom motorcycle. The whole theme and idea and concept behind it was to be, the savannas of Africa, to be cruising through Africa and perhaps building on the wildlife tours that I'd been taking people on. So this was back in the early 2000s when they first launched the V-Strom. They flew me to Paris, and it was a big international launch, and pretty successful. It's a great motorcycle, and it's come a long way since the first intro. Yeah, so this is my first opportunity to actually really get the V-Strom out in the dirt, and I tell you, it's just such an impressive bike. We've ridden it quite long distances on asphalt and on dirt, and it's very versatile, very comfortable. The seating position, you can sit on there for hours without getting backache or anything like that, and just the power is amazing. I mean, this 1000cc has got an amazing amount of torque, and you can fly along. So yeah, very cool bike to ride. Well, I definitely plan to do more adventure riding, definitely up in the mountains. It's just, the scenery is obviously spectacular, but this thing handles really well on dirt roads, asphalt, and even on some trails. So I definitely want to get out there more and just experience that freedom that we're all looking for.